So I was a newspaper editor. I've been a digital journalist since about 2008. Went and ran Wales Online and Wales on Sunday, which was a website and a Sunday newspaper as an editor. That was my first editorship. Then I went and became a daily newspaper editor at the Daily Post, and that was in North Wales, and we were all up in digital space. And at that point, my employers, Trinity Mirror, said, do you think that instead of working on one title, you would work across all the titles and digitally innovate? And that might be in tools, it might be in storytelling, it might be in audience engagement, the culture of newsrooms, it might be in training. So that's what I do now. So I used to have a very simple job. Now I take about 30 seconds to try and explain what I do. Mark speaks beautifully off the cuff. I don't, and I have some notes. But to just quickly go through where I think we kind of are, actually. Not so much where we're going, because in 18 months' time, this script could be all ripped apart. So where we are trying to get to right now and where we should be is probably what I'm going to come at it. And before I go any further, with a nod to Glenn, mobile as a matter of course, all of this. If it doesn't work on mobile, we don't do it. There is no point. We care about our desktop audience, but there's there is a point where you have to say, it looks beautiful on desktop, it looks shocking on a tiny screen, don't do that. So trends where I think that we are working towards at the moment, or are kind of in the shallows of. In terms of content, we are looking at kind of shallow reads versus immersive reads. So the kind of quick, instant news breaks, the tell me what I need to know right now, in the morning, maybe at lunchtime, thinking about where our audience is, what they're doing, what their time deficit is at that point. And then in the evening, when they have a bit more time, looking at the immersive reads and giving them a bigger treatment of stories and telling them this is the day's agenda and these are the things from it that you really need to know to be able to make decisions. Interactive's becoming more and more important to us. We work with images. We've just moved into virtual reality images, being able to kind of let people go deeper into photos, merging old and new photos with information panels, etc. And data visualization, I think, is becoming increasingly important. Kind of no text, just information in interrogatable, if that's a word, tables, charts, etc., that people can see for themselves. I think we need to be live or as live. So an example might be, you might periscope something and it's live and you've got commentary going on in it. You then save that live film down to your phone and you use that subsequently as an live video embedded within the story. Personalisation and intimate kind of communications, the messaging services, not kind of 0845 numbers, that allows you to have a kind of a relationship with your audience away from kind of the more public social platforms. So we've not cracked Snapchat yet. We are trying to, and I think we don't crack Snapchat because we actually don't use it ourselves enough. So I am kind of interested in looking at maybe a newsroom just using that for communications for a bit, just to see how they get their heads around it and how you can then use it as a tool for delivering journalism. Other things that I think are becoming increasingly important for us to be able to deliver to people, silent video and animation, because anybody who has ever lunged at their phone to shut it down when it's started playing a noisy video automatically in a quiet environment will understand. A bit of silent video with text goes a long way, and actually those little explainers can be really useful. Also animating photos, so you make video where none exists. That's really useful for our audience. We know they like it. Wearables and tangibles are an area that we're kind of getting more into. Wearables, for example, fitness and movement data collection, we use Google Glass. We would be really keen to get into designing for Oculus Rift around kind of virtual reality and augmented reality, to put people in the centre of news, and that's something that we are looking at the moment. It'll probably take us with our budget about 9 months to be able to do that because we work with third parties. But I think that that is really something that audiences are going to want more and more from us. And tangibles is kind of like my way of not saying the Internet of Things, because I think there's an awful lot of data that actually does like produce an action that people can tangibly see a result from. So at the moment we've built some things in our newsrooms that react to our analytics API, and it tells journalists when a story is going gangbusters. So it reminds them that there's an audience out there and they're looking at it right then. It's not just on a big screen, it's actually a large flashing live bird in the Echo newsroom. Skills-wise, I think verification, which Mark is obviously the expert on, but that is a skill that we need more and more and more. It's not enough to just be asking politely if you can use that photo off social media. It's what's the provenance, where's it come from, who's got the copyright, is it actually a genuine piece of content that not only can we use but hasn't been manipulated in any way. Social media skills around search are particularly going to be more and more important in journalism, and the ability to just have that kind of easy conversation. So the kind of social media awkward lunges into a conversation to try and engage somebody and have a transaction with them, I think that always makes me cringe. So I do think that journalists need to be far more clever about the way they negotiate. And finally, the thing to crack really is commercial. Somebody will always say, where's the money in digital journalism? And there's loads of money in digital journalism, it's just that we haven't worked it out yet. So I think native, live support for stories, so they go out with their own commercial support system built in, bundling content, so you might have journalist content, native content, chatbots and immersive all sitting together. These are all things that we should be exploring because we will need to fund the journalism that we do.